Here we are again for episode 3 of Trust the Effing podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Please go ahead and subscribe, follow, or like our content. Today, Jen and I chat about all things crystals. It was actually a very impromptu conversation as we had a different topic planned, but when crystals talk, you gotta listen. So we hope you enjoy and listen right through to the end.
So wait, hold up. I know that we kind of had some things we were going to chat about on today's show, but before we started recording, I noticed that you were holding something in your hand that was flashing across the screen. What do you have?
Oh, I'm holding a crystal. This is a piece of kyanite, and it's a blue crystal, and I think it's definitely connected with the throat chakra, but I think it's also really great for like clarity and all crystals have healing properties, right? So you can always Google them and look up. Usually what I do is I Google them and then pick out what resonates for me. But I do believe this is connected also with like, what do I want to say? Like connecting with your intuition or the higher powers, and gives clarity. And so I also have another one here, actually. I brought two today.
Tell me about it. Tell me.
They're both blue, but I thought, this one, they're both great for communication because blue has to do with our throat chakra. So I think that's why I chose them both today. But this one is a piece of raw sodalite. And it's also very calming. It helps to verbalize our emotions, I believe. And it's good for clarity. It's great for public speaking. That was the main reason I chose that one today. And then the kyanite wanted to come. So I always bring crystals into different meetings or whatever I'm at just to help me.
Yeah, so interesting because we're doing the podcast that these two stones of speaking, would want to join in today. And I think it's so funny that I noticed you were holding crystals because I brought two with me today that are sitting next to me, as I sit at my laptop here. And the first one that I brought was called Carnelian, and it's this beautiful orangey, swirly stone that's very smooth, and it has a couple of dark red on them. I don't know. That's what comes to my mind. Bruises. But this one I was really drawn to because it's for bravery and courage, creativity and passion. And I feel like I'm definitely doing something that is touching on all of those areas with doing the podcast here. And then the other one that I brought in is my small little chunk of amethyst. I have a lot of amethyst actually because it's my birthstone. I'm a February baby.
Okay.
And I love this little one because I put it in my pocket so often. I take it with me. It's just the right size to stick in a little pocket and go. But amethyst, really great for calming and bringing peace and clarity and into your life. And so I connect with this one really well. Like I said, I have a lot of amethyst because it just kind of sings to me,
Yeah. No, I love it. And I think it's hilarious and also awesome that we both brought crystals today.
Yeah.
We were totally going to talk about some other stuff, but I think we should talk all things crystals now. And what I think is also interesting is that I'm also a lover of amethyst. I'm sure many people are. I know some people even say to put it near your bed for dream time. But I actually can't sleep near amethysts. I feel like they keep me up almost like they're like, it's not like talking like I'm hearing something, but it's like, I guess it's the vibration or the energy. I was at my brother's house a few years ago visiting and I was sleeping on his couch and, our grandmother had a lot of amethyst. I'm not sure where she had a big collection of them. And my brother had, chosen them when she was kind of downsizing her home a bunch of years ago. And so anyway, he has them in like a display case, whatever, in his living room. And I just couldn't figure out why I couldn't sleep. And then finally I went into like a different room, like another room with a couch in it. And I was like, I just like grabbed my blankets and stuff and went in there. And then I was able to sleep easily. And the next day, oddly enough, probably more synchronistically enough, I guess, I read something or heard something, I feel like on social media, about amethysts, that happening, like that can happen to some people. So I thought it was interesting because I know other people they swear by sleeping beside them. But for me, I guess, or maybe they hadn't been cleansed. Like, do you cleanse your, that might be it. I think he doesn't cleanse them. So they
Yeah.
might be full of all kinds of energies. Maybe that because I'm so sensitive, I pick up on that. But what do you do for cleansing? Or do you do that?
Yeah, I do. And I won't say it was always a practice. It was honestly just something I learned about maybe within the past year, because I've been collecting for, gosh, I don't know. I want to say like 3 to 4 years, crystals and stones, and even just like rocks on the ground as I walk around and find pretty rocks. But for cleansing, I will take some of my crystals, like the nights of the full moon, and I will put them either in the windowsill or outside, depending.
Mhm.
And other than that, I actually put a couple of my stones out in the sun today that have been on my nightstand for a really long time. And I know I haven't cleansed them in a long time. One is a chunk of selenite, and the other is a chunk of clear quartz. And for whatever reason, just had the feeling I need to stick these in the sun today. They just need to be cleansed
Yeah.
or re-energized. I feel like the sun really adds a cleansing energy to them too, like re-energizes them, reinvigorates them so that they can support us.
Have you used the sun to cleanse them sometimes? It's interesting too because you said you felt like they needed that today, and that's how I feel when I with my crystals. Like I feel like sometimes I'm walking by them, like I have them in different areas of my room, my house, kind of for
Mhm.
decorations or whatever. And sometimes I'll walk by them, and I actually feel like it's almost like they're telling me, like, go cleanse me or pick me
Mhm.
up or whatever it
Mhm.
is. Yeah, it's sunlight. I would definitely like to use the sunlight and moonlight as well. I've also, and you have to probably Google or research which crystals you can do this with, but I've brought them into the bath with me before. I think most of them do fine underwater, but if you have any salt or oils, like if you use essential oils or like Epsom salts or something in a bath, I think you have to be a little careful with some types of crystals with the salt. It can like change the color, or
Oh,
I mean, I'm
okay.
sure it cleanses them really quickly, but
Yeah.
because salt is a great cleanser, and
Mhm.
water of course as well. I have done that, and yeah, I also have put them, I feel like, was it you and I talking about this recently? No, I sent you a clip about amethyst, putting it in a glass of water, right?
Mhm.
You
Yes.
let it for how long did it say to put it in there for?
So I think it said before you put it in your water, you need to cleanse it, put it in the sun for, I think it was like 3 hours. And then after that, it's charged, and you can put it in your glass or bottle of water and let it charge the water, let it make your water like a healing water. So I actually did that with this little piece of amethyst I did.
Oh,
And I carried it around in my water bottle for days. I swear I felt, like a little burst of energy in me every time I would drink from that bottle. There would be just like something that I would feel differently. It really, yeah, it did.
wonderful.
Mhm.
So I know we did that with amethyst, and I know the video reel I saw was about amethyst, but I wonder, I'm sure we could do it with other crystals as well, right? And it would pick up the energies or the healing properties of
Yeah,
those. I
yeah.
love that. Also, your carnelian, to backtrack, I love carnelian. I have a piece, I have a few pieces here as well, not sitting with me at this moment, but in my
Mhm,
house.
mhm.
But also, I live here in Costa Rica, and I found some raw pieces on the beaches before.
Wow.
And yeah, that's like I'm one of those beachcomber person. Like I love to when I go to the beach. Yeah, I mean it's fun to swim and whatever, but I love to go for beach walks and just see what I find. As a kid, I loved treasure hunts and I loved collecting rocks and all that stuff too. And it's totally still me. And all the beaches here, like you can drive 5 minutes to the next beach and they're all completely different. So one beach might be like black sand and it has these like pieces of red and yellow jasper. So I
Mhm.
mean it's so beautiful because the dark sand and then these red and yellow rocks that have washed up. But then there's other beaches that have pieces like carnelian or
Wow.
quartz. And so when I go to those ones, I'm like a kid in a candy store. So I have one specific, I don't have it in this room. I wish I did. I could show you a piece of carnelian, which again, like Jen was saying, is like an orangey red.
Mm-hmm.
kind of crystal, and it is great for courage, and it's great for bravery. It's connected with the sacral chakra, which is located underneath our belly buttons,
Mm-hmm.
in that area. And so it's great for creativity. It's great for passion. It can give you a boost in confidence as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely a fan of Carnelian, and I'm so happy that these are the crystals we chose to bring in today. Like, the properties of each of these are so great for creating a podcast, and
Yes. Yeah.
helping us to verbalize and share and feel
Yeah.
excited and feel creative. So I just love what working with crystals has done for me. I just feel like it's
Mm-hmm.
an added, I don't know, an added tool that I can bring
Yeah.
in, and the
Yeah.
energy joins whatever I'm trying to do. If I'm trying to meditate. Well, do you have specific ones you use for meditation?
I don't honestly typically grab any of my crystals when I go to meditate. It's more of like a support thing for me. Like if I'm feeling a certain way, or like recently, I feel like I've needed help in the area of bravery and courage and speaking my truth. So I've been latching on to the carnelian stone and carrying it around, and I've found some real strength from it. There's another one that I recently bought for my daughter because she is a July baby. We found in our local crystal shop some raw ruby. Picked up a chunk of that, and it resonated so much for me. As much as
Ah,
it was her birthstone, the ruby, of course, is red, and it's about love and passion and romance. And I just felt a strong pull to it. So I actually, even though it's kind of for her, I set it on my work desk,
yes.
and I've been admiring it and kind of using its
Wow.
properties for healing and stuff. So yeah,
I
it's so
just,
fun.
I just love that. And I love, as you were talking about the crystal shop, I had a memory pop into my mind of when I first started kind of working with crystals, and I use them in my sessions too, my intuitive readings and sessions.
Mhm. Mhm.
Often I think they call it scrying, but basically I would call it like I can use them to channel different messages or pick up on different energies for that specific person,
Mhm.
or guidance for them, or whatever it might be. But I remember went to this crystal shop when I was visiting Toronto, and I had a list of like 5 just to buy little ones, like, because they can get expensive, but you can buy small ones sometimes for a few dollars, or they don't have to be super expensive. And so I was going, there was a few I wanted to get. And then once I was in the store, it was like it was it was like being a kid in the candy store. Like, my attention would go right over to something, like to a certain one. And then often in the stores they share the descriptions of the healing properties, or why you might want to
Yeah.
use this crystal, and they would all be exactly what I needed. So I remember I ended up leaving with, I think I only bought like 3 that day. But they weren't the ones that I thought I was going to buy, but they were the ones that I really needed. I had another question for you. So maybe you know this answer, or maybe you don't. I'm literally just asking you because I'm not sure. What do you think about when crystals break, or when we lose them? Like, where do I've heard some different theories or ideas
Oh,
on, yeah. Have you heard
wow.
any of that stuff?
I haven't. I've not had a crystal break yet.
Oh,
And I do occasionally misplace them. And it's funny because if I've misplaced it, I'm just like, well, it must be somewhere where I will find it when I absolutely need it. And then eventually they turn up. But I don't know, is there some kind of meaning behind breaking of crystals?
I'm sure I've heard from different people. Like, sometimes when they say like it breaks, like, for example, years ago, I was having a really rough night, and I was holding this little, it was kind of like a square of rose quartz, which I'm sure many people know about rose quartz. It's a pink crystal, and it's said to be connected with the heart and love. It's also great for dealing with grief or shame, or even bringing romance, right? Is definitely, or
Yeah.
self-love, any type of
Yeah.
love. So
Yeah.
I was going through this really hard time, and I was holding it in my hand, and having a bit of a breakdown and a cry, but I wasn't like holding it tight. And then all of a sudden I felt it break, and
Mm-hmm.
I was opened my palm up, and I looked, and it had broken into the shape of a heart.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it blew my mind away and it calmed me instantly. Like it instantly caught my attention of like, okay, that happened for a reason. Like I felt
Right.
like I'm not, because I was feeling very alone at that moment. And so I felt like it was like, okay, wait, you're not alone. There's
Mm-hmm.
clearly some sort of spirit or something around you. And I still have that heart. I wish I could show it to you right now. But so I had asked another friend after that happened. I'd reached out to a friend that I know uses crystals. She does a lot of still healing, but it's more like an energy cleansing she does for people. So if they're
Mm-hmm.
feeling really heavy or they feel like something negative is maybe, I don't know, people talk about dark energy. I don't know too much about this subject, but like clinging on to them or needing to cleanse it. So she often uses crystals in her sessions. So I was like, she's like, I'll offer one to you. And she had just taken a new course and she wanted to practice on me. And she was holding two crystals while she was connecting in with my energy. And then they both broke in her hands.
No way. Oh my goodness. You're the crystal
Like,
breaker.
whoa. I'm a crystal breaker. And so then she asked her teacher about it because we were both like mind blown, like, okay,
Mm,
what's going on with the crystal breaking?
yeah. Yeah.
And apparently it's the energy can, I guess, fill the crystal or it's, I don't know, done what
Right.
it's supposed to be doing already.
Mm-hmm.
And also for her, I think it was protection. So she was picking up on the heaviness that at that time I was carrying. And it was a way of it not affecting her physical body. I think having the crystals there for her were kind of like a buffer. You know, some people also say sometimes when we lose crystals that we just don't need that. Like maybe, for example, if you suddenly couldn't find your carnelian in the next few weeks, maybe you're not needing the courage right now. Maybe you've now overcome that or you've, worked
Yeah.
through that. So
I think
I don't know.
intuitively that's kind of what I thought whenever I've misplaced a stone. I'm just like, well, I just obviously don't need it right now. And it's going to show back up when I do. So I've never really worried because I literally have rocks and crystals all over my house. They're spread out through windowsills, my workspace, my dresser in my bedroom, my nightstand, my daughter's nightstand, and in her bedroom and everything. They're all over the place. And it's funny on some days how a certain one will catch my eye, or I'll be walking through a room and I'll see a glint or a sparkle and it's like, come pick me up, you need me today, is almost like what I feel when I experience that. And I don't know if a lot of people who are listening right now know this, but crystals and stones and rocks have been used for literally eons for healing and support and in energy work. And there's plenty of practitioners in energy work today that use crystals and stones their healing work because they carry a vibration, they carry an energy. And without getting too specific, but just to bring it up so that people know, energy practitioners even link the stones to certain chakras in the body, like the certain stones that carry a certain vibration and even a color you'll obviously notice will correspond to certain chakras in the body. So it's very interesting if you Google or go pick up a book in your local bookstore, what you can learn about all these healing properties. And I'm going to give a little plug to my crystal shop in town here in Tupper Lake, New York. It's Earth Girl. Rachel King runs the shop, but that's where I go for all of my crystals and rocks. She's got a beautiful little store and she's on Etsy, and maybe I'll just even include that in the show notes too for people.
It goes right back to loving rainbows as a child and all the colors, and then
Yes.
now we got crystals
Yeah.
of those colors, and
Yep.
it's something maybe we all already knew a bit of as a child, just to
Yeah.
naturally be attracted to those things. Like I'm even wearing a blue shirt. Like I didn't plan this stuff.
Right. And I think about, it is very, it does go back to when we're children. I feel like it's something I remember doing as a child, just walking along a nature trail or the side of the road, and you pick up a stone and you see it and you admire it and you take it home with you. Even my daughter does this. My daughter's 9 and we go for walks quite often, even just up the road from our house. She will always zero in on some beautiful, sparkly little stone and pick it up. And before you know, she's got pockets full by the time we get back from our walk.
It's the best. It's
Yeah.
so great. I always did that too. I still do.
Picking up a stone outside in nature is very grounding,
Oh yeah.
Perhaps we were drawn to that because we were in need of some grounding, some,
Yeah.
connection to nature. So connection to Mother Earth. Yeah, so fun. So what are we going to chat about on our next episode? I feel like we should give our listeners a little sneak peek.
Oh, maybe we can talk. I mean, today we were talking about some of our crystals and how we utilize them. So maybe
Mhm.
we could talk about some of our other tools that we use for our work or our day-to-day lives. Maybe
Yes.
when we're dealing with stress, or we want to pick me up, or
Yes.
I know you have a huge toolbox as well. We've both been filling them up over the last however many years, learning more and more. So I'm excited to share some of that
Yeah.
with our
Yes.
listeners. And also, I hope if they have any crystal stories or favorite crystals, we'd love to hear from you. And if you know more about crystals than we know, we'd also love to learn. So please share.
Yeah, leave a comment or send us an email. I'd love to hear from our listeners what they know about crystals and rocks and how they use them for sure. Thank you so much for joining us on today's podcast. We hope you enjoyed our conversation. If you feel called to, leave us a comment or review on the platform you heard us on today, or send us an email at trusttheeffingpodcast@gmail.com. If you are looking for additional support in your awakening journey or an intuitive reading from Rebecca, you can find her on social media at Trust the Effing Process. If you are a woman looking for holistic health and weight loss support and would like a consultation with me, you can find me on social media at Jennifer Fleischman _health coach, or email me Jennifer@jenniferfleischman.com. And of course, we will link all this information in the show notes so you can check those out. Always know that you are exactly where you should be at any given moment in your life, and everything is unfolding as it should be. So please remember to trust the effing podcast.